Hey guys, hope you're doing fine. Lots of you have been reaching out to me and asking me how I'm doing after this time where I posted these videos here on this platform that were talking about, in which I was talking about my relationship with this girl. Whether she has borderline personality disorder or narcissistic traits. Some people would argue in the comments that I would change the diagnosis or that I would diagnose her. However, she had a diagnosis and she was in treatment for a while for borderline symptoms. Whatever, I know my story and I know what I've been through, and I think I can summarize also pretty well after all this time has passed since then, between then and now. And I can share a little with you. So basically, I'm doing fine, I would say. My life has changed quite a lot, which is somehow like a positive effect of a relationship like this, I would say. Because if you do all the homework, if you go to therapy after, which you most likely have to because you're just gonna feel really bad, at least in my case, this was the case. Then if you do these things, then you learn a lot about yourself. For me, the biggest takeout was that I need to make myself feel safe in whatever situation without depending on something else. I think my theory, and maybe for everybody it's a bit different, but my theory is that I also, going back to my upbringing and my younger years, I've been growing up in a not perfectly functioning family. A family that somehow really looks good to the outside, but there are flaws at the inside that should be fixed. Nothing terrible, but still somehow I was used to, let's say, complicated love. And maybe subconsciously drawn to the idea of fixing something like this, which then maybe subconsciously would help me heal a wound, like a wound deep down. So I realized that this is not so good, and I realized that somehow I did find comfort with my ex-partner, even though I was getting manipulated, lied at. There was also physical abuse, instances of physical abuse. There was a lot of bad things. You can go back to my videos and then check there if you're interested in this story. However, I did still stay, whereas someone else would just leave, and I stayed. So somehow I find some comfort in this kind of relationship, or maybe I find some desire. I have some desire to fix a problem, something like that. So I learned to not be drawn to this. I'm single still. I've not been dating anyone seriously. I mean, I had intimacy with some people throughout these 2 years. I think it's also fairly human and normal, but I'm not. I'm still like so happy on my own. Some people find it weird around me. I think I'm just for the first time in my life in a period where I feel completely not lost, but completely safe, happy, comfortable, confident, just being on my own. So I'm not on the never like not I'm on. I have, for instance, like dating apps installed, but I don't use them. I forget about their existence on my phone. Basically, that's what where I'm at, and I think I'm just in love with being on my own because it feels great. Yeah, I did a lot of things, like the things that saved me in that dark time when I was making these videos in the time of the breakup or post breakup with my ex. I did a lot of sports and healthy things just to pamper myself and to keep myself somehow safe and keep myself out of trouble, because I did notice I had some impulsiveness in the very first time, first months, with partying and doing things, waking up at places otherwise wouldn't want to wake up necessarily, stuff like that. So I'm also not innocent, obviously. You're gonna go through something like this most likely after a breakup with a person like that. But that's okay, you know. That's okay. I'm happy and I'm really grateful that I found a way out of this. So you might wonder, how is it with my ex? Yes, she still lives in the same city. There were few instances where I would see her on the street. There was about 2 or 3 times, because I feel like she's going around, or what I hear, it's like she's switching friend groups. If you go back to my latest video, or to my video where I tell you about how I was discarded with that other guy, I heard that apparently she tried to date him, but then she made up a story which was really disrespectful about him, why she wouldn't be with him. So she was like talking about his genitals and that she wasn't satisfied, and it was terrible. Like, I heard this. So she actually in the beginning was in that circle of his friends, then she moved on to another circle, and then to a third circle. Whereas all these 3 circles have people involved in these social circles that are directly or via related or associated to me. So I feel like there's still some interest for her. Like, if she notices some overlap in friends, it's obviously, like, for her, I guess, of big interest, or it's attractive for her to get into that circle. And I think that comes from a deep paranoia that basically, or she maybe a desire to spread the world her really crooked story about me, where she completely changes the narrative about the past. And I don't think she does that in order to destroy me, but I think she does that in order to save her ass, because, sorry for the language, she's probably afraid that I would tell people what actually did really happen. And that could potentially, destroy her reputation, which I think, when you don't really have an ego, but your ego is just is required to be fed by other people's opinion about you, then obviously this is the biggest nightmare. And I think that's the case for her. So, every time I noticed, and that was usually when, I must admit, I saw it on Instagram, that she suddenly is a friend with a friend of mine, or like with a friend of a friend. Or I went to like an event where it was completely random that she would pop up there. Or a really good friend of mine was at the dinner of her friend, and suddenly she texted me, "Marco, I'm here and your ex is here. What the fuck is happening?" Sorry for the language again. So every time this happened, I had a little heart attack feeling. I mean, obviously not a heart attack, but like I felt like super anxious and my heart was pumping. And then I'm always like super afraid. I feel extremely triggered. And because basically I have proof that the story she tells about me is wrong. But I learned to just step away whenever anything like this crosses my way. I will not engage in anything explaining myself to someone that I don't really have to, because I feel like it's always triggering me and it's not healthy for me, because I am accepting, I'm clearly, and I will probably for like a really long time be traumatized by her. when I see her, I feel immediately like I get physical response of I get shaky, I get cold sweats, I get nervous, I get extremely racing heart, I get nauseous, stomach cramps, and then afterwards, it's basically like maybe a pre-stage of a panic attack. And afterwards, I usually just go home. Yeah, I once was also in a bar with my friend, which is actually the friend who just mentioned, who texted me that she's at the dinner where my ex suddenly appeared. So I was in a bar with that friend, and it was a quiet evening, early evening. We had a coffee, and then she taps me on the knee because she knows who my ex is. They don't know each other though. And she looked over and I was like, fuck no. And then, yeah, my ex came in and she had a date in this bar. And that was extremely awkward because there was no music and no people, no distractions, nowhere to hide. And yeah, that made me feel really, really bad. And I went home straight away. And I do accept it because I've been through a lot with this person, and yeah, it's for me just like a black dot on the map. And I accept it, and somehow makes me sometimes anxious and angry, but overall I just accept that this happened in my life. And I also took out some great things, like I learned a lot and I became a better person towards myself. I still, if I could choose, I would still probably say, no, I don't want an experience like this and I don't wish it to anyone, because it took so much energy. Basically, afterwards, when I made these videos, I wasn't really working yet. I had some savings and I'm working freelance, so I just didn't have the energy to look for new jobs, and I lost basically a lot of money that I would now still have to enjoy nice things. I invested money into like therapy and yeah, wasted some years of my life in some way. But I don't want to think like this. I want to think everything that you experience, even if it's terrible, you can change it anyways. And so it's not too bad. Yes. So far, so good. So I guess I will not talk about, I will here not talk about how I exactly overcame this situation, because there's so many aspects. But I would guess, please ask me in the comments, what would you like to know in case you're in a, hopefully not, but in case you're in a similar situation. And I try to maybe answer those questions in further videos. What do you think about that? Yeah, I think that's it for a little update. So yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm feeling good on my own, with my friends. I like to hang out with my family. I love my work. I love to thrive. I love to wake up in the morning and not think about a negative thing at the first thing. I love to go to bed in the evening and fall asleep. I love to hang out with friends. I love to sometimes have dates. I'm not ready for like a committed relationship, or for like a more serious relationship, but I'm open to it. I detect a lot of toxic traits in other people, which helps me to protect myself. I gained a lot of wisdom, and yeah, I feel good in my skin. I hope you do too, and if not, then I hope that you can feel better soon. And if you need any support or any advice, feel free to reach out to me, if anyone's still watching here. Yeah, thank you for watching, and guess see you another time. Have a good day. Bye bye.